What I love best about being a writer is being able to use words to create a different world, to create stories, to create characters that only exist in my mind and then eventually on the page and then eventually in someone else's mind when they read the book. It's just magic, right? It's the magic of words. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today is how to create a great novel using the magic of words.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Amante channel. If this is the first time that you're visiting my channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you. My name is Amante. I'm a women's fiction author, and I also create these videos to try to help writers think a little bit more about writing and maybe start writing their own story. So the way that we write stories is with words, right? And they're magical. And so what I want to tell you is just a little story first before I start. Back in 1997, so that's a lot of years ago now, I attended my first writers conference. It was a romance writers conference, and the keynote speaker was Heather Graham. And the first thing that she said was that she didn't have any magic, that she was not going to, that whatever she said was not going to send us home to create a best-selling novel. But that was sort of exactly what she did with her keynote speech, because what she spoke about really was being able to create a dream in the reader's mind through the words that you use as a writer. She shared that what she learned most in school didn't come from teachers, as great as they were, but that they came from the books that she read and the things that she taught herself. The books that she read allowed her to dream. And so when she became an author, that's exactly what she wanted to do also. She wanted to create a dream in the reader's mind. And I thought, that was awesome. Right now, this was 1997, so I'm not quoting her exactly, but this is sort of what her keynote speech was about. But she wanted the readers to learn more, to feel more, and to just be engaged more in the world and in the story because of the book that she wrote that they read. Now, she spoke about a lot of other things too. She spoke about publishing and being tenacious and not giving up and all these things, but I don't even really remember all of that. But what I do remember is that part about allowing readers to dream. And I think the reason that resonated with me so much was because I sort of had the same experience. So when I was young, when I was a young kid in elementary school and in junior high back then, I would ride my bike to the library and I would borrow as many books as I could fit in my bag that I thought I could carry back on my bike home to read. And the reason that I loved books so much was because exactly what she said, right? They allowed me to dream. They allowed me to experience a different world. They allowed me to get to know different characters and to learn things that I didn't know. And I loved romance books, and I read books that were in, set in England, and I had never been to England at that point, and I was a little kid, and I didn't know about all these things, but I learned through reading novels, not by reading a book about England, or by reading a biography, or by reading anything that most people think of as learning. I learned through novels, and then those novels, if they interested me, then I would look up or learn more about a certain topic. And so I really loved that what she was saying, that through books, through novels, through the words that we write in these stories, we can wake something up in a reader and allow them to dream about more and want more and to learn more, because it's exactly what happened to me. And so when she said this is what she wanted to do for her readers, I thought this is exactly what I would like to do for my readers eventually. I wasn't published yet. It would be actually the next year in '98 when I went to that same writers conference and ended up meeting the editor that would publish my first book. So back in '97, I still wasn't published, but I knew that what she was saying was true and that it was something that I wanted to do for my readers as well. And I'm guessing that a lot of you, that's what you want to do, right? That's why you want to write a story. That's why you want to write a book, because you want to awaken something in your readers. You want to allow them to dream, and you want to allow them to want more because of the book that they read, because of your book. So let's talk about the building blocks that create these novels, and they are the words, right? The words that we choose. So for me, these words are magic, because when you think about it, what are they? It's just carefully constructed sentences and paragraphs and pages and not in chapters that end up creating a story. And to me, that's magical. The way that a writer can put together these sentences, the way that we can construct something just that's in our mind onto the page by using carefully selected words, is magical. So when you think about it, what's happening, right? We're actually transferring something that's in our mind to someone else, and then they are experiencing the same thing or whatever it is that we want them to experience. So I know when I'm writing, I'm experiencing what's going on the page, whatever I'm writing, whatever scene I'm writing. If I'm writing something sad, I'm experiencing that sadness. If I feel it, then hopefully it's coming through on the page, and the reader is also experiencing the same thing. So through these words that I select, sorry, dogs. So through these words that I select, I'm creating an experience. Oh, we might have a little deer visitor, so just a second. Okay, so as I was saying, right, these words have the ability to transform really reality. We are able to transport our own thoughts into the future when a reader reads what we wrote, and we're also be able to get them to try to transcend reality in a way, right? To go into a different world, into a different space. When I was a young kid and I was reading these books and these stories about whatever, right? Whatever it might be. I remember reading The Call of the Wild about a wolf, of a team of wolves, right? And I was in Alaska. I was in a different place. So I was no longer me. I was no longer this poor child of Argentine parents who didn't quite fit in. I was really right there with the characters. I was transformed into a different place, into a different time. And my reality was extended into something more than what I was experiencing as a child. So what is it when your imagination transports you somewhere else? Isn't that kind of like magic? And to me, yes, it is. So words create magic for a reader and for a writer, honestly, because we're able to use these words to create something that doesn't exist. Until we write them down, and until we write them down with correctly, not only through sentence structure, but by adding the correct word and that creates the emotion that we want. So to me, that is I don't know if you want to call it a magical experience, a spiritual experience, whatever makes you whatever talks to you. But to me, they're just it's a magical way of communicating with someone else. Heather Graham called it a dream, right? She created this dream, and that's exactly what authors do. They create this dreamlike world, and they invite the readers to come and to explore and to experience things that they might not normally experience. So creating this dream for the reader is what we do as writers, because for a little while our readers are able to forget their own life, what they're doing, and enter this world, this dreamlike world that we have created. So how do we do that then? We're using words, right? So that's what I want to talk about today, is these words that we create. So in order for words to be magical, we have to choose the right words. And so what are the right words? How do we do that? How do we select words that will speak to readers? So the first thing that these words should be are vivid, and they should evoke some kind of emotion in the reader. One way to do this is to pay close attention to the meaning of the words. They have denotations, which are the dictionary definitions of the words. What exactly does that word mean? But they also have connotations. What feeling do these words, again, make the reader feel? So something simple would be like home and house, right? So a house, we think of a house as a structure, right? It's a building. There's no emotion or warmth to that. It's just a building. However, if I say home, that creates a different type of feeling. It creates that feeling of warmth, that feeling of being welcome, of feeling good, right? So, and it does not have to be a physical structure. I can feel at home in my best friend's house. I can feel at home when I visit my mom. So I have this connotation of the word home that is different from house. So just by choosing a word that creates a vivid picture in the reader's mind, as well as an emotional reaction, you are already choosing a word that is vivid, and it's going to attract your reader. So taking the time then to choose the right word, to look for synonyms. So sometimes you might think of a certain word, but when you start looking at synonyms, there might be one that actually says more of exactly what you mean, that is more, that fits better, right? So taking the time, and sometimes this is going to be more of a revision type of thing, right? It's not something that you're going to do as you're writing. When you're just creating your story, you're just kind of just dropping all the words that just getting the story down, right? Whatever words come out. And then during revision, though, is when you are going back and you're saying, okay, I want to create this emotion. I want to create this dreamlike place for my reader. So are these the right words? What can I change? What's the number? What word will work better? So this is one way that you can change the words, that you can choose the words that are correct for your story. The other thing that you want to remember is your audience. Who is your audience, and what type of language are they expecting, and also the genre, right? So different readers, different genres are going to require different types of vocabulary and different types of language. Some are going to be more literary sounding words. Some are going to be more lyrical. Some are not. Some, maybe some nonfiction is going to require some maybe jargon that you normally wouldn't use, because some readers wouldn't understand it, but your target audience would, and they need that kind of language. So understanding the readership, understanding the genre, and creating, and also you, right, your own tone and your own style of writing is going to come in, so that you can use, you don't want to sound like somebody else, you want to sound like you. So all of that comes together to create that dreamlike story for your reader. Now, once you've created this story, once you've created the dreamlike world for them in that story, now it's time to invite your readers to come in, right? And so how do we do that? How do we invite our readers to come into our story and engage with our characters and be part of the story and feel like they're experiencing it? Well, this is where good storytelling comes in, right? So the very first thing you want to have or pay attention to, is the opening of your story, because this is where you are inviting your reader in. This is where they're coming in. So you want to have a hook. You want to have something that is attracting the reader, that's making them think, this is the world that I want to spend some time in. A lot of times too, when we look at the back cover, right? I've just gone to the store and I've just purchased a bunch of books. And what's the first thing I do is I look at that story, I look at that back cover, and I think, okay, does this seem like a story that I want to spend time in? Do I want to get to know these characters? Does the story topic interest me? But then I look at the first few pages. Are they capturing my attention? Are they hooking me in with the words, with the magic of the words? Are they making me ask some questions right from the beginning, so that I want to read more? So that opening is that invitation for the reader to come into your story and to spend more time, not more than just those first couple of pages, right? You want them to stay longer for the entire story. So that's the first thing, right? We're inviting the reader in by the way that we're opening our story. The second way is to have relatable characters, because we want characters that we want to spend time with. They're either going to be really interesting, they're going to be, then we're going to make us angry, there's going to be something about those characters that we're going to say, wow, what a jerk this guy is. I want to know what he's going to do, or what a great guy this is. He just saved a dog, right? So whatever he's done at the very beginning, that we want to spend more time with those characters, or they're having some kind of issue that we want to see how they resolve it, right? So we want to make relatable characters that we care about, that we're curious about, that interest us, that seem deep, right? They're not just generic characters, but they're like real people that we want to get to know. And that's another thing that's going to draw them into your story. And remember, they don't have to be perfect. We don't care if they're perfect. If they have flaws, it makes them a little more interesting. So we do want characters that have some kind of flaw, but also that, again, we want to know more about them. They seem deep. They seem like that they're people we actually would want to get to know. We want to know their story. We want to know why whatever whatever's happening to them is happening to them and how it's going to turn out. Okay, the next way that we're drawing them in is through the dialogue. So when these characters are talking, what are they saying? It's a tool, right? This dialogue is a tool. So think of it this way. So a lot of times, people have a hard time with dialogue because they think, well, does it sound like a real person? Or I'm not quite sure that I am doing it correctly. And think of it as a tool. How are you using what these characters are saying to move your story forward, to give us more information about the characters, and to tell the reader something they need to know without telling them what they need to know, right? So remember that dialogue is a tool that you're using to help you move your story forward, to help your characters communicate with each other, get information to the reader. And how are you doing it in an interesting way? So how does each character sound different? What are the unique things, the unique things that they say, the unique tone of voice that they have? So all of those things are important for you to use in dialogue, so that the reader thinks, oh wow, this is kind of, I like this character, I like the way the character talks. Or I don't like the way this character talks. He never talks. He only says 2 or 3 words. What is wrong with this character, right? Why is he so quiet? Whatever it is, right? So we're using dialogue as a way to, again, bring the reader into our story and into our world. The next thing that brings readers in is our setting, because where are we setting this? Or do they want to go to wherever you're taking them? Do they want to go to Alaska to watch a bunch of dogs, on a sled team? If you're a child, yes. Or even if you're an adult, yes, right? I want to go. I want to see what's happening. I want to get to know this world that these dogs and these humans live in. Do they want to go to Paris? Wherever, right? Whatever your setting is it interesting enough, and are you making it vivid enough with your words that they can actually picture it and they feel like they're there? They have to feel like they're there. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to throw in the Eiffel Tower and now they're in Paris, right? No, you want to make them feel like they're there. What else is going on? It's not just some buildings, or they're eating French bread, right? That's not taking them there. How are you making them feel that they're actually there? What is happening? What are people saying? What is going on that makes someone feel like they're in this setting? Definitely with Call of the Wild, right? It was the snow and the cold and the tragic things that were happening to the dog teams. You could really feel what it was like to be there. And that's what you want to do with your settings. That's creating that dreamlike world, right? In fact, the settings, a lot of people may think, oh, I can set it anywhere. It's not as important. It's actually very important, because without the setting, they're just in a white box, right? You have to paint the picture for the reader using your words. Okay, and lastly, maybe not lastly, but the last thing I'm going to mention is your own voice. You need to have your own voice, and sometimes it's difficult. It's like, well, what is my voice? It takes some time to develop sometimes, right? Everybody's writer voice takes a little time to develop, but you want to, again, you're going to choose your words depending on who you are and what your voice and the way that you like to tell a story. I don't consider myself to have like super sophisticated vocabulary. So if all of a sudden I'm trying to write a story using language that is not that I can't learn new words and stuff, of course, right? But if it's not something that is comfortable for me, something that I have to look up every other word in order to write a more sophisticated, challenging sentence that most readers won't want anyways, then it won't be me, right? So I have to use my voice. Of course, I have to use the voice of the characters as well within the story, because not every character needs to sound like me, but my narrative voice needs to sound like me. And then I can play with my characters and make them sound a little different, and then kind of experiment with a character's voice within the story. But my narrative voice has to be mine, and the way that I tell stories has to be mine too. And again, this changes over time. I know that I don't tell the same story, the stories the same ways that I did when I first started writing, but that's okay, because writers grow as well. And hopefully it's still interesting. It was interesting at the beginning. Hopefully it's interesting now, depending on the type of story that as I write different stories with different style of stories. So when I'm writing, for example, a romance or chick lit novel, it's going to be a different voice narrative voice than it is when I'm writing a more serious, deeper, maybe sad story, right? It's a different voice. So your voice should be unique to you and to the story that you're telling. So today I just wanted you to remember that words are important, that they are what we use to create this fictional world and to draw our reader into our fictional world. And I thank Heather Graham for that keynote that she gave so many years ago that told me and reminded me why I like to read, and that as a writer I need to be able to create this dreamlike experience for my reader so that they are entering this story and they're wanting to spend time there and wanting to know more when they're finished, when they close my book, that they're curious enough about whatever I wrote about to maybe want to read something else that is similar, or another book, or find out more about a setting, because that's what you want. You want your readers to have loved your story so much that they're not satisfied that it's over. They actually want more. And so use those words, create that magic for your reader, and I hope that this has helped. And if it has, please give me a thumbs up, a like on this channel, and also subscribe to the channel so that you will know the next time that I have a video, and to come back and see me again. Thank you so much. See you next week.